Hey, what's going on, guys? So happy Monday to all of you. Hope y'all are having a wonderful and fantastic day. Um, Thought I would come on here and give a little bit of food for thought here. So, um, I'm just going to get right to the point and ask this question: Is Dabo Swinney done at Clemson? Maybe. I can tell you right now, Clemson, they're not in a good spot right now. I mean, of course, we all know that. Everybody knows that. And of course, we're only a third of the way through this season. Things could change between now and the end of the year. But I'm telling you right now, things do not look very good for Clemson. So they had that big loss to Syracuse at home on Saturday. And just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, it has. And so I'm not saying, well, I think the seat for Dabo Swinney as far as his coaching job, it's heating up, okay? Because Clemson, they have been on a downward trajectory for the last 4 or 5 years, really. And yes, they won the ACC 2 of the last 3 years, including last year. But let's be real, the only reason why they got into the ACC title game was by default, thanks to Miami collapsing against Syracuse late in the game last year. That's the only reason why Clemson got in. And so Clemson they've been on a downward trajectory. And this year has been very disappointing for them. Obviously, I mean, with the experience that you got coming back on both sides of the ball, there's no reason for them to be this bad. Cade Klubnik has not looked all that great, in my opinion. And their offensive line has not been good. Their running game hasn't been very good. They don't really have a running game. They don't have running backs. They had to convert one of their receivers to running back. So there's that. But I just wanted to, give a little bit of thought here. The seat's heating up for Dabo, and I think he knows that. And certainly he didn't do himself any favors during his press conference last week, calling out the fans and that sort of thing. And then you get blown out at home to a Syracuse team that's really not all that great, okay? And so is Dabo done? Is he on the hot seat? Maybe. Now, the thing is, he has a big contract, and if they were to fire him, they'd have to pay him a ton of money for his buyout. So he's not getting fired. I'm not sure Clemson can fire him. But what I'm seeing, or at least from my view anyway, and I don't know how the rest of you guys feel, but what we've seen from Clemson this year is very similar to what we saw with Florida State last year. Here's the difference between the two. Going into this season, Mike Norvell at Florida State, he knew that his job was on the line after going 2-10 last year. He knew that he had to do something. He had to take action. And so he fired both his offensive and defensive coordinators, and he took a big swing in the portal. And so far it looks like it's paying off. Now, and again, the season is still very young. We're only a third of the way through the year, and a lot can change between now and the end of the season. But so far it looks like it's paying off. And the difference between him and Dabo is that Dabo does not like the transfer portal. In fact, he doesn't use the transfer portal. So, and I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of the transfer portal either. But, if I was a coach, I would still use it, because in modern college football, you have to adapt. You have to use the portal in NIL and all that stuff. And so, and Dabo has said he doesn't care for NIL either. And so you have to be able to adapt, and that applies to any job, whether you're a coach or not. Any job that you have, things change all the time, and you have to be able to adapt. and times have changed, and you have to learn to keep up with the times. And that's something Dabo has not done. It's not that he just refuses to use the portal. And I know that he, as I said, he doesn't use the portal, but he could have used the portal this offseason. You know, there's a lot of missing pieces on that team that could use some improvement. You know, certainly their offensive line, their secondary has not been very good either. And so that's a concern. And not just for the team, but just the program as a whole. And he has to learn to adapt. And if he wants to be relevant again, then he's got to adapt. He's going to have to start, you know, he can't be this old, stubborn, stuck in my ways, and, you know, this is how we're going to do it no matter what. And so you got to change. But as I said, what I've seen from Clemson this year looks very similar to what Florida State was last year. And so, and it's a shame too, because I like Dabo. He's a good coach. Obviously, he's been very successful, but that was back before the transfer portal was a big thing. And so, yeah. So Clemson is not in a good place right now. And so we'll see what happens, and maybe Dabo will come to the realization that, you know, hey, I need to use these resources that's available. And so we'll see. But yeah, things are not looking very good in Clemson, South Carolina right now. And a little spoiler alert, I know I haven't done my ACC recap video. I usually do that on Sundays, but I had a busy day yesterday, so but I will get around to it. But Clemson is going to drop like a rock in my power rankings. So just to give you all a little spoiler alert here. So there's that. And so what are your thoughts? What do you think needs to change? And what do you think needs to happen? Let me know down below, guys. Talk to you later.